Today I upgraded my electric bicycle battery to have a balance lead on it, so I can now balance the cells with my automatic battery balancer. Here's how I did it. This is my homemade battery pack for my electric bicycle. It is 24 volts at 35 amp hours. I plan to have 2 of these finished, but unfortunately last time I tested it out I had issues with balancing each of the cells, or packs of cells in parallel, because some cells could get higher than others, and then if that went on too much it could kill the cells. So I got a IMAX B6 battery balance charger off eBay. These are extremely cheap pieces of crap, but the thing is, it's easier to buy these and just throw them away whenever they break than to buy an extremely expensive one. And I got some random bits from Radio Shack. So let's add the balance charging feature to my homemade bicycle battery so we can ensure that it doesn't blow up on me. So first of all, what is battery balancing and why do you need it? Well, here's some lithium ion cells. I just grabbed them from some dead laptop batteries, and these usually run up to about 4.2 volts and they're dead around 3.7 volts. And so if you hook them together in series, this little battery pack right here is 8 volts end to end. If you were to charge it at 8 volts, there isn't really anything to ensure that each battery would get half of the charge. Like one could be 3 volts and one could be pushed up to 5 volts, short-circuiting this one, and then this one would be pushed up to 5 volts, short-circuiting that one, or whatever. Actually 8 volts for that one, but oh well. Pretty much, lithium batteries, they don't settle back down to the right voltage. Like for instance, a lead acid battery, you can fill this lead acid battery with like 20 volts. You can like really charge it really hard, and then whenever you let it sit, it'll go back down to 12.8 volts or whatever. Well, this one, not this one, this one's dead. But you get the idea. A functioning lead acid battery would do that. It wouldn't just keep letting the voltage rise and rise and rise. But if you took one of these and hooked it up to a 5-volt power supply, you could just keep cranking up the voltage until it short-circuited. And so we don't want to do that. Unfortunately, on my battery pack, these battery cells, or actually the first 4 ones are like 3.9 volts, and the last ones are like 4.08 volts. So already it's getting out of balance. So what we have to do is we have to connect a wire lead coming out from each section on the batteries in series. And now there's 6 batteries in series, or 6 packs in series. And so we'll have to have 7 wires, because like if you have 2 batteries, there's actually 3 connectors. 3 batteries and then there'll be 4 connectors. So 6 batteries and you have 7 connectors. And now those connectors will go through this cable into this battery charger, the IMAX B6 battery charger. And it'll monitor the voltage of each cell and make sure it doesn't overcharge them or over discharge them, because this thing can also discharge, but I doubt I'll really use that feature. Also, it can calculate how many milliamps go into your battery, so I can actually know for sure how many milliamp hours, or how many amp hours I have in this battery. Now, unfortunately for the balance charging socket, they call it, it's not really a connector that I can easily find. So I happened to find that I had a ribbon cable and that had a connector on it similar to it, and I just kind of like chipped off some of the plastic so it'd fit in there. So now I do have a connector that will fit into there, which is good. But the thing is, I don't want to have to find or order from eBay a bunch more of these connectors and then have to wait 2 weeks to get them in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this wire, this ribbon cable, into a little adapter. So on one end I'll have the balancing connector socket thingy doodad that will fit inside of the charger, and on the other end I'll put a 9-pin connector. Now this is a 9-pin D-sub connector. That's the connector that you had for like the controller port on the Atari 2600 and Sega Genesis, just if you wanted to know what that is. And these kind of connectors, you can find them everywhere. So I got a couple of these connectors, and we'll wire this up. But before we do that, let's wire this up properly. To be honest, I only need 7 wires coming out of this to really put my thing together. So I'm only going to have to solder like 7 connectors. Now, how am I going to hook this up? Okay, actually, this is how my battery's hooked up. This is negative, this row right here. that goes to positive, so the difference between here is 4 volts. That goes through here. Both these are all connected, so that goes through here, that's 8 volts, and then it goes down through here, that's 12 volts, 16, 20, 24 volts. Because all of the batteries in this way are connected in parallel, and all the batteries this way are connected in series. Or actually, all the packs in this way are connected in series. So I'm going to have to connect the wires where the batteries hook together in series. So like one wire right here will be coming off, one wire right here will be coming off, here, 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 and here. And I'll just probably have them all stranded together in a sizably long cord, maybe. I don't know. But let me go get my wires and heat up my soldering iron. Well, I forgot I got this already at the Jacksonville Fall Festival. It's telephone wire from, I don't know, 1940s, 1950s. I mean, just look at the spool, it looks pretty old. But it has 4 leads in each wire, and I think 2 wires will do just fine. And it looks chunky enough to be able to handle a charge, too. So awesome, let's solder it to the battery. Now we have both the lead connector ribbon cables connected, so we have a total of 7 wires coming out of it. And I already tested them; they're all hooked up nice and fine. Now we just need to add a D-sub connector to this cable and to these 2 cables. So then I can plug the battery into the charger. I want to make sure I don't short these out, because there's a 4-volt difference between these, and 4 volts which could supply like 50 amps of power. I'm putting negative as pin 1. So now whenever I connect up this connector to it, this pin will be the negative. And here's the last pin going in. Now we have our balance lead connector. We just got to put the other end on here. Now here comes the tricky part, because I have to make sure that I match the pin out on the battery charger with the pin out that I already set on my balance lead. So I'll put my power plug inside here, and on my charger there's a plus and a minus. I imagine this means that all the wires go in an orientation of minus to plus from right to left. So this would be 0 volts, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24 volts. So this is plus and this is negative. Unfortunately, the iMax B6 doesn't come with a power supply. It just gives you these connectors to hook it to a 12-volt battery, but you can input anywhere from 11 to 18 volts, which is pretty awesome. I'm just going to use my universal power supply. Luckily, the cables from my universal power supply fit into it, so that worked out pretty good. plus. We have minus. And we have, should be this, unless it blows up. Let's see. So now the battery's all hooked up. Let's go through the menus. Still trying to figure this thingy out. And balance charge, 6 cell. Hit enter. And now it's charging. Over here we have our milliamps, or our amp hours that are going into the battery. And over here we have our batteries themselves. You can see they were a little bit out of phase, or not phase, but they were unbalanced a bit. And the cells are getting pretty close. I'll just leave it on the treasure for longer and longer. And also, they were really out of whack whenever I first put it on the balancer. So if I balance it every time I charge it now, then the cells shouldn't deviate too much, and it shouldn't take so long to balance them. And so here's the battery pack I'll put back together, nice and sturdy, with the 2 connectors coming out, or actually 3, positive, negative, and balance. Now, as for balancing the voltage on my old battery pack, I'm not going to worry about attaching a balance lead to it, because then it would be too much of a hassle, because it's kind of a rat's nest as it is. I'm just going to hook these together with alligator clips in parallel, so they all stabilize in voltage. But anyway, thanks for watching. See ya!